Hello, welcome to Jason the Old Millennial. My name is Jason. I'm speaking to you here in my basement in the great state of Kansas. And today I'm doing a video covering movies that I watched in the last month, the month of January 2022. And I went over the movies that I thought were good that I either watched for the first time or movies that I rewatched as well, as I'm going through a lot of different movie series on Disney Plus, especially. And so this video, I'm going to go through the movies that I didn't think were very good, kind of give my opinion on them, just kind of random. Some of these are newer movies that just came on streaming, and I got a lot of movies here that are getting a lot of Oscar buzz, probably get a lot of Oscar nominations. And surprisingly, I really hate all the Oscar nominees, potential nominees. They haven't come out yet, but a lot of movies I think are probably going to be nominated for stuff I've watched, and I just don't think they're very good. But that seems to be a trend the last couple of years, maybe the last 5 years, 10 years. I usually don't like any of the Best Picture nominees, except for maybe it seems like lately there might be one or two good ones, but mostly it's just really poor choices. And I don't know, maybe there's just not very many good movies coming out recently. But definitely the movies the Academy likes, I just don't care for. It's my personal opinion. When I talk about bad movies, my ratings, I start with 2.5 out of 5 stars. 2.5 stars I consider a light not recommend, meaning it's almost close to recommend. It's got some good stuff in there, but overall product I didn't like, or it's not a movie I'd recommend watching or I would watch again. I guess that's my 2.5, and then of course it gets worse after that. So I'm gonna start with some 2.5 star movies that I did recently on my Letterboxd app. One of the surprising ones is I was rewatching the Bourne Identity and Bourne Supremacy. It's on HBO Max streaming, and I watched both in the movie theater and also Ultimatum in the movie theater when they came out. And I was a big fan of these movies, this movie trilogy, and I really enjoyed. The premise was really good, and enjoyed the action, and it's overall really well, performed and shot, I thought. But rewatching it, I found that I really don't like these movies. Specifically, Born Supremacy, which is a movie that I'd probably say was like a 4-star movie when I saw it in the movie theater. I really loved the story and the performances. It had some good action sequences. Always a good car chase in these movies. But rewatching them, I kind of found them boring, and I hate the shaky cam. There's so much shaky cam, and the fast edits. I hate the fast edits. It's hard to understand what's going on in a scene with a lot of close-ups, fast edits. Shaky cam is just very disorienting, and just I don't know, just very annoying. And I just found myself really not liking it at all. I think since I watched those movies, action movies, two specifically franchises that are some of the best I've ever seen: The Raid and John Wick series. Those are the best action movies I've seen since the Bourne movies came out, and it's totally changed the action genre for me. Where I have a hard time when I watch an action movie because I go, man, this is not nearly as good as John Wick or The Raid. They're just way above everybody else. And they do what they do is, of course, the actors are doing the action scenes themselves. They're doing a lot of their own stunts, which is nice. And they're doing long takes with a wide shot where you can see everything, and you totally understand all the action's going on, and you totally appreciate what the actors are doing because you see them doing these long takes of action and stunt work, and it just totally makes the action so much better. It makes the movie so much better when they do that, and they do more, like I said, wide shots and not quick edits, long shots, and just no shaky cam. It's so much better. I think that's what really the Bourne movies really don't age well because of that, in my opinion. So that's what I found with that. Another action movie that came out this last year, just came out on HBO streaming not too long ago, is a movie called Nobody, starring Bob Odenkirk as the lead. It's an action movie, and it's kind of it's the same, I think, director or writers as the John Wick series. So it's trying to be kind of like a John Wick type of action movie, but not nearly as good as the John Wick movies, in my opinion. It's this idea of this guy. He seems like a normal guy with a normal job, but then it turns out he's actually he worked in the I don't know if he worked in CIA. He worked, but he did. But he like nobody knows. Like he actually was like the secret enforcer guy who killed people and for the I forget what it was for the army or something or CIA or whatever. Anyway, so he's kind of this you don't think he's a dangerous guy, but then he's just living a normal life. But then his home gets robbed, and it kind of triggers that inside of him, and then he goes kind of on this killing spree and gets involved with the Russian mafia. Anyways, so it's kind of a similar premise to I think John Wick in that sense. Kind of guy that's retired, but now he's coming out of retirement. Reminds me of Taken a little bit in that sense. The problem with Bob Odenkirk, as good as he does, I cannot. I just don't believe Bob Odenkirk as a tough guy. And Bob Odenkirk is a comedic actor and writer and director. I mean, he's not known for action or drama really, though he's done more dramatic work recently, and he's not terrible at it. But buying him as an action star, I had a hard time. I couldn't really believe it. And most people love this movie, and it gets really good ratings. And so you should probably, check it out if you have HBO. Just me personally, I couldn't get into it because of that. And the overall action is just okay, except for the last scene. There's a shootout at an office. It's really good shootout. I would say the last action scene at the end of the movie was really well done. I enjoyed that, but for the most part, I couldn't get into that movie as much as other people. So I'm going to talk about some movies that get more Oscar buzz here. First one is Tick, Tick, Boom, which is on Netflix, starring Andrew Garfield, where he plays, it's a music bio of a real guy named, I think, Johnny Lawson, I believe his name is, who wrote musicals for like Broadway and stuff. And he made one famous one, Rent, which I think came out in the 90s maybe. And Rent won like the Tony for Best Musical and all that. So that's like the one musical that he wrote that was like, it was a big deal. Besides the other musicals, I think bombed or he couldn't really get anybody to do them. And so the movie kind of goes through his struggles of trying to be a writer and trying to get into the business and failing and all this stuff. And it's also a musical too. There's a lot of music numbers in there. And the music is okay. They're kind of really popish music. I can't tell you one number throughout the movie. Like none of them really resonated with me or stayed with me. I don't really remember any of them. So it's kind of, the music was okay, not memorable, which is fine. Andrew Garfield, great actor, probably get a nomination for Best Actor for this role. It's not one of the best roles I've seen, but and one of the problems for me that I had a hard time getting into the movie is that it's a biopic about a guy I've never heard of, don't care about, wrote a musical that I don't care about, and I like musicals, but I'm not a fan of Rent personally, and I'm not a fan of the movie, or I haven't seen that on Broadway or anything, but the movie I'm not a fan of. So it's like, here's a guy that's like nobody's heard of who wrote a musical that was popular a while ago. So I don't know, that to me hurts the movie. Like, if I'm going to see a biopic, I want to see it with somebody that I really like. So that's the deal with Tick, Tick, Boom. So the 2.5 star movies, a couple 2-star movies I have on here, which are just movies that I'm going to say a strong non-recommend to. One is Being the Ricardos, which is on Amazon Prime. It's getting a lot of Oscar buzz, especially for Nicole Kidman for Best Actress. She won the Golden Globe. Harvey Bardem is getting some buzz for playing Desi. And it's about Lucy and Desi, and it kind of takes place while they're making, it kind of shows them making an episode, and you see them do the read-through and the rehearsals up to the time they're going to shoot the episode of I Love Lucy. Also does some flashbacks, and you see when Lucy and Desi first meet and fall in love, and you see Lucy trying to become a big actress in the movie business and having trouble there, and then we see her finally, kind of at the end, we see her get her own show, of course, which is I Love Lucy. Anyway, so it's those two things, anyways. And my issue with the movie, I don't know, first, Nicole Kidman's performance actually isn't bad. She doesn't feel like Lucy to me, or I never really felt like she was Lucy. I don't know, she doesn't really look or act or sound really that much like Lucy. And Harvey Bardem really does not look or sound anything like Desi. So that kind of takes you out of the movie a little bit. I think a lot of people criticize it for that. The main thing, or one of the main things, is that Lucy is such a jerk, especially like we see her. She's kind of real nitpicky about everything, and she keeps wanting to change things, and you just get the sense that she's a very unlikable, jerky character or person in real life, which she might have been. I don't know. Obviously, a lot of people they put on a good face when you see them in interviews and stuff like that, and see behind the scenes. But of course, in real life, they might be terrible people, and that's probably true of most Hollywood. I'm sure most Hollywood is terrible human beings. In fact, we know they are terrible human beings. A lot of them are, but we only see them in celebrity interviews and stuff like that. So, and you hear buzz, oh, they're a nice guy sometimes, or a nice person, or sometimes you hear they're not. But I don't know. So this movie made me not like Lucy like Lucy or Desi or anybody in Hollywood. Like everybody felt like they're kind of jerky and they're trying to get one over each other. And so I just felt like I don't like any of these people, and so I don't care about them at all. Don't care about the plot. And the plot was weird. There's this whole plot of Lucy being I don't know what the word is. Part of the she did something back in some day, and she was part of something that dealt with the communists, and so they were naming her a communist or something like that. She had to go be questioned or something like that by the government, whether she was a communist or not, which was happening a lot during this time period. And of course, if she was charged with being a communist, whatever, it's going to ruin her career. So the whole movie dealing with this PR debacle. I don't know. I didn't really care about the plot at all. The only thing I liked was the flashbacks. Actually, if the whole movie was the flashbacks, I think it would have been much better. I enjoyed seeing Desi and Lucy meeting. I enjoyed the whole process of her, failing as a movie actress and then getting her own show. Like, all that was interesting. And that's all we really care about, I think, is seeing that part of her story, not the part that they're showing kind of in regular time. Anyway, so that's what I think about Being the Ricardos. The other 2-star movie I'm going to say is The Harder They Fall, which is on Netflix, which is this Western with an all-black cast, which is very unique because you never see really Westerns with a lot of black people in it. Usually it's, John Wayne, Clint Eastwood kind of thing, even older and even today, you just usually white people is usually what you think of. So it was interesting. I like that idea that having a different cast like that. And I thought for the most part, there's some really good casts in here, a lot of good actors in here, actresses that were very interesting in some ways. Overall, I just kind of bored with the movie. I don't know. There were some big shootouts, but none of the shootouts really excited me very much. And the main bad guy, I don't know. It was just, the whole plot just felt like it took a long time to get to the end. And I don't know, it just didn't do it for me. I kind of wanted to like it because I was kind of interested in the subject matter, but overall couldn't really get into it. That's The Harder They Fall. I think that's the end of the 2 stars, so then I'm going to go to my 1 star and half star. I have a couple of half star maybe, or I have 1 half star, but some 1 star movies, which is like 1 star is like really, really hate this movie and think nobody should watch it. I put Don't Look Up in this. I've given it 1 star. It's a comedy with Leonardo DiCaprio and Jennifer Lawrence, and a really good cast: Meryl Streep, Jonah Hill, Mark Rylance. It's Adam McKay, directed and written movie. It's getting a lot of Oscar buzz for Best Picture, possibly, and Best Actor maybe for DiCaprio, and probably a screenplay nomination. It says a comedy more about a meteor coming to, meteor's going to hit the Earth and kill everybody, and so these 2 scientists are going to the president about it, and it feels like there's not an urgency to stop it. And then this big tech guy comes in and wants to ore the minerals on the meteor to make money. I don't know. And so it gets in kind of this political thing where there's this fight between looking up. And it says, there's a campaign to look up and see there's a meteor and see that we need to do something about it. And some are not looking up and they're not doing anything about it. So it's almost like a metaphor for whatever you want to call it, climate change probably for most. Something that some people, it's a political disagreement. Some think the world's going to end, some think it's not going to end, don't worry about it. You could even throw that COVID in there. There's some political divide there between what people think. So, I mean, that's an interesting idea, I suppose, but Overall, it's a comedy that's not funny, I guess. I didn't laugh hardly any at all. And it's always bad when you do a comedy and I don't laugh at it. That's why I'm giving it the 1 star. Maybe 1 star might be a little mean, and maybe I should bump it up to 1/2 or 2 stars. But I guess I was just really disappointed when I watched it because I was expecting a good comedy. Adam Kay has done some good comedies in the past. Great cast. I don't know. It just felt like they're all misused, and in the end, it's not really a happy ending. I guess I shouldn't spoil too much, but not. I didn't care for the ending at all, so that's why I got there at 1 star. Don't Look Up. Then I got Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald, the second Fantastic Beasts movie. I saw the first one in the movie theater. Thought it was terrible. This was on HBO Max. It came on HBO Max streaming recently, so I was like, what the heck, I'll try it out. Even worse than the first one. I mean, just so boring. I don't understand what was going on at all. During the whole movie, I was so confused about the plot, and the ending was, I don't know, it's just, I just couldn't wait till this movie ended. It was just so terrible. Harry Potter, I love Harry Potter, great movie series. They've done such a terrible job with the Fantastic Beasts series, which not even really a book. It's just something made up just to, because Harry Potter's so popular, they want to continue the Harry Potter train, I think, with that movie. And there's a third one coming out, I think, this year, which I'm not going to watch. The other 1 star movie to talk about I saw recently on HBO Max is called The Last Duel, with Matt Damon, Adam Driver, Ben Affleck, Ridley Scott directed. It takes place like in medieval France, and these two characters, a knight and a squire, are kind of friends, but then they kind of fall out. And then the knight, his wife, says that the other character raped her, and so he challenges him to a duel, and so it ends with this duel to the death at the end of them two. That's why it's called The Last Duel, of course. The interesting thing about this movie, I'll say one interesting part, is that they split the movie into 3 parts, where in the 3 different point of views, which is a really interesting idea, and I like that idea, and I think that could work if they could have a better movie, that you go, here's what happened through this person's point of view. And so we see the events take place, but yet obviously it's this person's point of view, so this person's point of view makes his character look good and the other character not look good. And so then we go, all right, here's this person's point of view, and we go back kind of and see the same events through different perspective. And so we see the character that looked good in the first perspective looks bad in the second one. Anyways, and then the third one was, so it's the 2 characters plus the third perspective is his wife's perspective, what happened. And so there's a question of, did she really get raped? Because one perspective is she got raped, and the other perspective is that they just had a sex affair, or they had an affair. He had a sexual encounter with her, the friend, Adam Driver's character, with the wife of Matt Damon. So I don't know if at the end we really know if she got raped or not. I think we're supposed to think that that's what happened. But it's interesting doing that perspective. Overall, though, it's just such a boring movie. I mean, it takes place in medieval Europe, so they're talking like in this old English type of way, and it's just very slow moving. It's like 2.5 hours, so long, very dark movie. It was hard to get through. It was just so boring and long, in my opinion. Then the last movie I'm going to talk about is one of the front runners for Best Picture, and that is The Power of the Dog, which is a very weird title. There's no dog in the movie. I don't even understand what The Power of the Dog means. I do. I guess I do, because they do mention Power of the Dog is in the scripture. I think it's in like a psalm or something like that, or a proverb. There's a proverb or something like that mentions the power of the dog. So it's kind of obscure reference to scripture. But yeah, so you see that and you go, Power Dog, is this a dog movie? It's not a dog movie at all. There's no dogs. Anyways, I'm giving it a 1/2 star, which is the worst I can give a movie on Letterboxd is a 1/2 star. And I've given Nomadland a 1/2 star, and I've given Maz Rainey's Black Bottom a 1/2 star. So this is the third movie I've given a 1/2 star to that I've in the last year or so that I've been doing that. And it's a movie. It's a Western. Benedict Cumberbatch is kind of the main. He's kind of a cowboy, and his brother Jesse Plemons, and he marries this widow Kirsten Dunst, and she has a son who's played by Cody Smith McPhee, and those are the four main characters. And so he brings her back to his ranch or whatever, with him and his brother run this like ranch or something. And he marries her, brings her back, and then Benedict Cumberbatch's character just kind of emotionally, verbally abuses this woman and drives her to alcoholism anyways. And then he kind of starts a relationship with the son, kind of this friendship that maybe more than a friendship, it's kind of hinted at. And it's just the most boring movie. Again, I give it a half star to movies that are just so boring and so confusing, and all these movies are, but this was just took it another level, kind of like Nomadland to me, where it's like I had a hard time getting through it. Just I didn't understand what the point of the movie was, and the main character Benedict Cumberbatch is just a terrible human being. It seemed like he's just really abusive, I guess, in a verbal way, verbally abusive to everybody, and just always angry, always yelling at people. And I just hate those kind of characters, and so I just hate that character so much, and why he was so mean to these people, this, his brother's wife and son at the beginning, and then I didn't quite get what was going on with him and the son. It seemed like maybe it was like a homosexual relationship. It never really happened, but it seemed like that's where it was going, but I didn't quite understand what was going there. And then the ending is just so surprising, like what happens, that you're like, what happened? I don't get it. I had to go on Google and Google what happened because I didn't get what happened at the end of the movie, which is pretty bad for a movie if I have to Google, like, I don't get what happened at the end. So I had to Google it, and it kind of explained what happened, and I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I didn't get what was going on when I was watching it, but maybe that's because I had a hard time paying attention because it was so boring that my mind probably wandered during important moments, maybe that plot points that I didn't get. But yeah, it's just one, and I guess I'm just more angry that it's getting so much Oscar buzz, and probably getting a bunch of nominations. Cody Smith McPhee is leading kind of front runner for Best Supporting Actor, probably get the Oscar there. Cumberbatch probably won't get the Best Actor, but he might. It's a possibility, and he's a good actor, and he does some good things here, I suppose. But overall, just really hated this movie. Power of the Dog. I really recommend not watching that unless you want to watch Oscar nominees like me. I only watch these movies because I like watching what the industry thinks are good movies, and every once in a while you get a good one. Most of the time terrible. Anyway, so that's my opinion. Anyways, on that, so that's Power of the Dog. So those are the movies that I've watched in January that I didn't like. Just feel free to comment if you've seen these movies. If I'm being too harsh, are they better than what I'm saying? Are they bad? Love to see any comments in there. And just thank you for watching this video. Thank you to anybody who liked it. And just thank you so much to the subscribers for supporting the channel. I really appreciate you, and have a good day.